What's going on, guys? Robert here from Rob is Tech. In less than 24 hours after I filmed my iPad 3 rumor roundup, here we are again talking about the brand new iPad Apple release. Just a few hours ago, Apple had their event, their announcement in San Francisco. They went over all the new specs and all the fun things that we all want to learn about. And here's my little recap, and at the end, I'll have a little tidbit of my thoughts of the new iPad. So let's jump into it. All right, so the first thing that the iPad is going to, well, I guess the first thing we're going to notice about the iPad is that the name stayed as iPad, which no one was really expecting. I guess Apple's really keeping it simple. No iPad 3, no iPad HD, just iPad. And Chris Perlow on Twitter made a very interesting and very well thought out comment. Intriguing, I think is the right term. He said we don't walk around with MacBook 4Gs or MacBook 6S or all that stuff. We just have the name, MacBook Pro, Mac Pro. iPhone, even though the iPhone is known as iPhone 4, and this thing is still updating, is kind of taking a while. Anyways, without that all being said and done, the iPad got the name coined, just named iPad. That's it. Nothing new, just iPad. Alright, so of course the next thing we were all expecting that the iPad got was that Retina display. The Retina display, from what we saw so far, looks really nice. We've seen side-by-side comparisons done independently. Apple had some nice ones. All we know is that the iPad display has gone a big bump and it's going to have a nice improvement, and the graphics are going to look much better. I'm throwing up some pictures right now of the side-by-sides. Here's some ones that we saw at the keynote. Here's some independent ones like I showed in my video yesterday, the rumor roundup. All we know is that the resolution is much higher. I think it was 3 million pixels on the screen, and I'm going to have a resolution up here somewhere that shows what the resolution is, because I don't know offhand, but Retina display on the iPad is going to look very, very nice. The next thing we saw added in the iPad is going to be, which was nice to see, 4G LTE. There's a little bit of a question if this is actually going to be done, because the worldwide penetration of 4G hasn't been great, but they went ahead and done it. The new iPad is 3G ready worldwide, and it has 4G capable. It's 4G capable in the United States. You're going to get those 4G speeds from Verizon and AT&T. And some reports, and I guess it's fact now, are coming in that the iPhone or iOS update 5.1 is actually bringing 4G HSPA Plus to AT&T users. So me, like people on iPhone, on Verizon, we're not going to get 4G, but I guess you get HSPA Plus if you're on AT&T, so that's a little bump, I guess, about that. Speaking of updates, like I just said, Apple did release iOS 5.1, which is just bringing, I guess, Siri in Japanese. They brought this HSPA Plus update, I guess, to AT&T. I don't know if this is meant to be or it just happened. And then, of course, some bug fixes, stuff like that. Not really any new features in iOS 5.1. And of course, the iPad was able to receive an upgrade in the camera department. The rear camera is now going to be a 5-megapixel camera, and they're dubbing it now the iSight, which I don't think it was actually dubbed before. The iSight is the back camera. And on the front, the FaceTime camera is still at that VGA quality, which kind of is not great, but whatever, we'll take a camera upgrade. And Apple should have some images here from this new 5-megapixel camera. Looks nice, looks pretty sharp. So we'll have to see what people think about that when they take it out and take it to the field. And then as far as processing goes, we heard rumors of the A6, the quad-core, and the A5X. Apple ended up going with the A5X, which is still a dual-core processor, but it's actually bringing quad-core graphics. Because of that Retina display, the iPad is going to have to handle a lot more graphics. It's going to be double the amount of pixels. So they had to bump up the graphics processing power to now quad-core. So hopefully, the iPad will run a little bit more smoothly. You got that graphics processor, which is going to be nice for a lot of, big, really graphic-rich games, like Infinity Blade is the correct term, and there's some other graphic-heavy games that should run much more smoothly on the iPad and should provide an overall better experience. And just some other small things coming to the iPad include an update of, I believe, iMovie, GarageBand, and the iWork suite. Those got a little bit of an update. There's some jamming session in the GarageBand app for the iPad. I think iMovie got some more themes or something, just some small updates, and not too much to talk about there, just some incremental updates. Well, hold on there, Robert. You might have missed something very important, and you don't want to leave out to your audience. First off, I wanted to let you guys know that the iPad pricing is going to stay the same. 16GB Wi-Fi is going to go from $499, 32GB $599, and 64GB $699. And of course, like previous iterations, we're going to see the 3G, and now I guess being 4G, Wi-Fi plus 4G is going to be $629, $729, and $829 to the respective gigabytes in each model, and the iPad is going to be available March 16th. This is going to be a week from this coming Friday. I don't know when you're watching this, but it's going to be the next Friday from when this event had happened. So March 16th is going to be the release date for both the iPad 3, or the new iPad, and of course the Apple TV, the new Apple TV, and these are both have pre-orders starting right now, which is today from the time I'm recording this video on March 7th, and they will be released on that Friday. So that's it, and let's get back into the video for some more info on the new Apple TV. And the last thing that we saw was of course, a update to the Apple TV second generation, I guess this making it the third generation. The Apple TV set-top box that Apple has had was always limited to 720p, so now we're going to get a 1080p version of this box. We don't know why Apple waited so long, but they did, and now they're going to charge you $100 to get that. So if you haven't gotten one, I guess it's a good time to pick it up. Myself, I don't know if I'm going to pick one up. I'll talk a little bit more about that, more my thoughts at the end of this video. But for $100, you can pick up a 1080p Apple TV. Apple rolled out also a new user interface for the Apple TV, which should be able to work on the second generation Apple TV as well. And it's just going to be a little bit of a cleaner, simpler, easier to use interface. It should be a little bit easier to navigate and to get things across and hopefully running smoothly. The new Apple TV also features the A5 processor, which is an upgrade from the A4, which it's still a single core, but hopefully things run a little bit more smoothly. 1080p playback should be good, and everything should be good, even though there wasn't really any issues with I don't think there's any performance issues on the Apple TV second generation, but they give it a little bit of a processor upgrade, and we'll see how that turns out. So after all those details, all those thoughts, my thoughts on the whole event is, well, I don't know. I was an original iPad fan. You know, I use my iPad at school all the time. But I've come down to it that I'm sad to say that I really don't use my iPad, my original iPad, as much as I really do. That's why I didn't buy the iPad 2, and that's pretty much why I won't be buying the iPad 3. Not to say that the iPad's not a bad device, just for me, I found myself just not using it as much. So why would I spend the money, $500 and be caught up in this hype of buying one if I'm not going to use it? I use the iPad, mainly just at night for kind of, going through CNN articles. I'll kind of read it a little bit briefly. I'll watch videos on it. It's good for plane rides and playing games, but besides that, I'm just not one of those people who uses it all the time. I actually, I don't know if this is 100% true all the time. Maybe I should test myself on this, but I probably would rather use, in a lot of cases, my MacBook Pro than I would an iPad, just because in the situations I'm in, I need to get more work done that require an FTP or a video editor and actually some kind of form factor, like this MacBook Pro here, which has a nice interface and I can bring it around. When I'm doing things in Photoshop, I can't really be using my iPad. And I understand these are used for two different things, but I just can't constitute, buying myself the iPad for $500, especially if I just not using the one I have now. So I'm just probably not going to buy the new iPad. But the new Apple TV, I'm kind of a little, I don't know. The TV that I have right now in my bedroom is, I believe it's a 720p. I don't know if it actually goes up to 1080p. So I don't know if I'd spend the $100 to go to a 1080p if I can't get it. I'm going to get the same user interface. I'm going to get the same things. I love the Apple TV. I don't know. If you have a 1080p video, like a 1080p TV, then I don't know. It really depends if you really want it. I didn't think the video quality on that Apple TV was that bad, but my TV's not that great, so I don't really know. Apple is allowing you to use iCloud to download previously purchased videos that you purchased from iTunes to the 1080p format now, and all the new videos will be, I guess, downloaded at 1080p as well. I guess it kind of opens the door for new 1080p content. Could be cool. I just don't know. If you see an unboxing video, I don't know. I'm not gonna. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth the $100 to spend. I use my Apple TV all the time. I just don't know. I'm kind of contemplating back and forth. I have the Apple TV in the cart on the Apple website, but I don't know how much of that is actually hype and how much is that actually me really wanting to get it. So we'll see what happens. Might not buy it. I might. If I do, I'll let you know on Twitter. Follow me there. I'll do an unboxing, but I don't really know as of now. All right, guys. Well, that was it for today. I appreciate you guys watching. There was a lot of iPad news, a lot of stuff to get through. Are you going to be getting the iPad, the new iPad? Let me know. I'm definitely going to be checking one out for the Retina display to see how snappy it is and just to actually kind of feel one and see how cool it is. I'll be definitely checking out my local Apple store or I have a couple relatives who might be picking one up and just to try it out and see if it's really worth it. But let me know if you guys are going to be getting it. Of course, I'll be on your technology news. Of course, I'll be getting some, just let you guys know the user reaction, how people think of it. If you actually are going to get one, let me know. Leave a comment below. Maybe you could send us a video. We can talk about it. Maybe even talk to you about it. What do you think? Are you going to be picking one up? Are you going to be picking up one of the new Apple TVs? Is the 1080p price tag of $99 really worth it? Let me know. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next video.